We have four methods. This is our cart controller. This is the swagger. Here, this just works like the postman, but we can visualize the things better here. So we have created four methods. First one is the get method, where we can get all the items in the cart. Second one is the post method, where we can add one product to a cart. Third one is the delete method, where we delete a particular item from the cart. And fourth one is the update method, where we update our product quantities and all. So let's go through the add method. This is the body, where I will need the ID of the product and the quantity of the product, because those two are the required things for adding a particular product. And we also need to have the authentication token for that particular user. So I have one database. So these are the tables, like users, tokens. So these are the three users which are currently signed in to the backend, and these are all the tokens, and we will use these tokens to access our APIs, right? So here, so once I suppose I will my product ID is 9 and my quantity is 4. So when I fire this method, so we have our response as success is true, message is added to cart. Okay, so let's check our database. So when we check our cart item, so we can check our current time. So it is 3:05, and we have added that particular product into our database. So this one for the add method, like now we want to get all the items which are in the cart. So let me get the token first. So this is the token I have provided, and this is my response. So let me just So this is the response for the get method. Here we have one array called cart items, where we can have all the items which are in our cart. So this one is one product, its product ID is 9, its quantity is 4, and this one is an array, so we will have that one. And we also return the total cost with it, which is calculated in our backend, and so that it will be easier for us to display it on our front end.
Okay,
and
great. So we'll focus on these two APIs first and see where we can improve.
Okay.
So for the post cart add, so let's see the input JSON once again. So do you think we need to send the product details, or only the product ID will be enough to
only the product ID is enough.
So we have to change it. We have to remove the product from the JSON and just so we have to make a new DTO for the input. Like we can make it cart input DTO, and we can just have the product ID, quantity, user ID, and that's enough, right?
Yes.
So remove this one, and let's see the get.
Okay.
The get cart items. Yes. So you have opened it in the new tab, right? So you can go there. So now see, you have product ID and product. So why you need the product ID here? You can just do product.id, right?
Yes.
So that's how you can improve. Yeah.
I will also need these informations, right?
Yeah. So I mean to say that you don't need the product ID. The product information is enough. The field after user ID, the product ID, you can just remove this one, and you can just use the product ID, right?
Sir, I can tell something.
Yeah. Right.
I think product ID is enough, because we need to give a foreign key to the product ID.
Yeah, but
product detail level.
Yes.
table.
Why you need the
So
product
the information on can be fetched from that table only.
But if we do it, we have to make multiple API calls, right? Because this will be consumed by an API by a client, Vue.js client, which won't have the access to the database. So
No, it can be done in one API only.
how?
Okay, I will figure it out and I will send the solution to you.
Okay, but Saurabh, do you think that's possible?
Yes, I have done the same thing in Django just a few weeks ago.
Okay. So you can send us, so we can talk about it. So as of now, we can remove the product ID from the API, and we can just use product.id. Okay. So that's how we can improve the API. Okay. So do this to improvement, and then we can meet again for more discussion. And and then also change the Vue.js client for the same. And once you make an update, and let's see how it looks, and then we will discuss about the other things. And also let's open the code. I want to also talk something about the other part. Yes, the two APIs. So get is okay. So here please open the branch of Sudhanshu where he added the validation for the user ID, right?
Yes, I think this is the one.
Yes. So in the get, open the get all like the.
Okay.
Yeah. So here you haven't implemented that, right? The user. What if user ID is like invalid?
Yes, sir. Okay.
So you have to.
I'll implement it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we have to do that. So and for the get, so for the add, let's see.
Yes,
For
this is
the
the
add, can you scroll bit up? Yes. Great. User ID here. Try catch. But do you think we'll get an exception here? You will get a null, right? Not exception. Let's go do the get user and okay. If you do get user and then get ID. Okay, so let's open the method get user. Authentication service get user, yeah. So it gives you null, right?
yes.
So
Yes, sir.
so this is not the right way to get the user ID. So if you go to this controller, at first you get change the code. User equal to after just do one thing before trying and catch after int just write user equal to authentication service dot get user. Okay. Yes, and now do the null check here.
If user is null, then I will require this.
Yes. Exactly. And then you can remove the try catch, right?
Yes.
And then just keep the user ID method. Yeah, user ID. Yes, great. Yes, and you can define it. Actually, you don't need to define it at 35. So one method is just declare the variable where you're using it. Don't declare it before. So this is to make the code a bit more, good. So yeah. Now this one looks correct, and use the same thing for other things. Okay. All right. So okay, and let's see the code more add. Okay, so now you are getting optional product, get product by ID. Okay. You know how we can make it bit more better? Instead of doing all these things, we can throw exception. So go to this exceptions folder. And you can see that we have thrown some exception. Authentication fail exception. Let's see how we used it. Just click on the authentication fail exception, you will get. Yeah. Control click maybe.
Certain.
Yeah. Something. I'm not sure how it does. You do it. Yeah. So let's see where we used it.
Yeah, this one. This one.
So yeah.
The
So
find only method.
exactly. So like throw this exception. That makes code looks a bit more simple. So instead of doing all these things, just throw exception. So let's implement this.
Okay. So suppose in this add to cart method.
Yes. Let's improve this method. So let's throw exception.
Fail exception.
Yes, and let's see how they used it in the original code where they used it. So how they used it? Authentication, authenticate. Yeah. So just use this method. Yeah. And let's see how they use this method also. Let's see the yes, and go to this method and see how they have done it.
Into authenticate method.
Yeah. So they see how they have done it. So if the token is not null, then they have throwing a method, and if there is no user, then they are throwing a method. That's perfect, right? We can just remove. And if the code passes this method, then we are sure that there is a user, right? So we can just we can remove the other things. So go to cart controller. Yes. So now you can remove the user equal to null, because you know that user will be there if it comes after line number 36. Yes. And now actually here you can also, it looks good. So okay. Now even if you can remove this line number 38, and you can just get user ID from authentication service dot get user the token dot get ID. Yes. Now because you are sure that it will work here because the token is valid, right? And you can do the same thing for other like methods. So that's how the code becomes more clean. And now do the same thing for optional product. Like if the product is not valid, then throw an exception. The product doesn't exist exception. So then you don't have to use all this optional thing which make the code like not readable, complex. So make a exception. Product doesn't exist exception. You can just copy authentication fail exception and make a new exception.
Okay.
Just copy the authentication fail exception and rename it to like just copy the file there and paste it. Copy the file and paste it. Yes, and rename it to product not exist exception, something like that. And then rename the functions. Yes, great. Okay, so just take a step back. Sudhanshu or Smith, do you have any doubt what we are doing? And you can ask if you have any doubt or if you have any comment.
Not currently, but I will analyze the pros and then I will try to improve it.
But do you understand? Is it clear what we are doing?
Yes, I did.
Okay, cool.
Yes, sir. Same goes for me. It's clear till now.
Okay, nice. That's great. So let's move ahead and use this exception instead of optional thing. You can just throw an exception. So in the product service dot get product by ID. Yes.
So in the cart controller, right?
Yes, you can also throw an exception here. Yes. But this thing, where will we throw this exception? We'll throw it in product service dot get product dot ID. In that method we will throw this exception.
Okay.
So go to this method. So here
Get ID.
yes, so here we will throw the exception. So you don't need to now send as optional. You can just send product and send the exception, right? Yeah,
So
like throw exception. No, in the method. In the method, you have to throw the exception.
throws
Exception. Yeah, and now return product, not optional product. Product and now let's get optional product here. Let's get optional, like, yeah, just define a variable there in line number 54. Yes, optional product, yes, equal to the line number 55 actually. Product ID, and if the product doesn't exist, throw the exception here.
if is null or
It is
is
not
present.
is present, yes. If is present, not present, yes, then throw the exception.
Like this.
Yeah.
I thought
Just make a thing. You have to
new.
no, you have to throw new. Yes, and just write the message that product doesn't exist. Like this ID is invalid, something like that. Product ID is invalid. Product ID is invalid, and also mention the name of right product name, product ID in the message. Yes. ID. Yes. And
Return
optional product dot get. Yes, that it makes sense. So now the code will be more simpler, right, and clean. Go to this method. Yeah, now you can remove the optional thing and you can just get the product. See that, right? The code is now more simpler, right?
yes.
Great. Nice. Okay, and you can also do the same thing for other two APIs.
Product access. Okay. So GetProduct.
Now you see something that we are repeating the line number 51 in all the places, right? So we will do it now, but in future we will extract this line into a header. So before coming to this method, we'll have something, a configuration file where we will check this authenticity of the token, and then we'll send it to this method. And if the token is not valid, we'll return an error before even coming to this 49 line number. So we'll do it later. Okay, so right now it's okay. Okay, so any doubt you guys have, or is it clear up until now?
No, it is clear.
Okay, cool. So yeah, okay, now now you can just improve. So improve also the input DTO. Like, let's make this.
Yes.
Yes.
This one.
Yes.
This one is fine. I think we can change this one also.
For how?
We have.
Yeah, we can also throw in an exception. Yeah, right. Yes. You can have the same exception there also. Yeah, go to this method, delete cart item.
This one.
Yeah, so here also you can remove throw like cart exception ID or something like that. You can throw an exception like cart doesn't exist exception. So you can do it later. So yeah, and you can also change the input details and send us a PR. Okay, cool. So I think you can do it right now. You can change the input DTO and make sure that code works. Change the APIs. Okay, so we'll that's what I wanted to discuss today, and let's catch up later. And if you have any doubt, we'll talk. Cool.